Witajcie na naszym kanale. Dzisiaj opowiemy wam historię, która brzmi jak scenariusz z filmu science fiction, ale wydarzyła się naprawdę podczas II wojny światowej. To opowieść o samolocie, który przeżył niemożliwe, ponad 1200 trafień wrażej amunicji i zdołał wrócić do bazy, mimo że jego skrzydła były praktycznie zniszczone. Jest 23 stycznia 1944 roku. Nad Niemcami szaleje jedna z najzacieklejszych walk powietrznych w historii. Amerykański bombowiec B-17 Flying Fortress All American powraca z misji bombardowania zakładów lotniczych w Oschersleben, gdy zostaje zaatakowany przez całą eskadrę niemieckich myśliwców Messerschmitt Bf-109. To, co stało się w następnych minutach, przeszło do legendy amerykańskiego lotnictwa. Pilot Kendrick R. Wrak i jego załoga doświadczyli czegoś, czego żaden człowiek nie powinien przeżyć. Walki na życie i śmierć w samolocie, który rozpadał się w powietrzu na ich oczach. Jak to możliwe, że samolot z tak poważnymi uszkodzeniami mógł kontynuować lot? Co sprawiło, że załoga nie poddała się w obliczu pozornie beznadziejnej sytuacji? I dlaczego ta historia stała się symbolem amerykańskiej determinacji w najcięższych momentach wojny? Jeśli fascynują was opowieści o ludzkim heroizmie, niezwykłych wyczynach technicznych i o tym, jak zwykli ludzie stają się bohaterami w ekstremalnych sytuacjach, koniecznie subskrybujcie nasz kanał i zostawcie łapkę w górę. Czy jesteście gotowi na opowieść o samolocie, który odmówił upadku i załodze, która udowodniła, że czasem siła woli potrafi przezwyciężyć prawa fizyki? Zapraszamy was nad niebo Niemiec, gdzie zaczyna się jedna z najbardziej niesamowitych historii w dziejach lotnictwa wojskowego. Porucznik Kendrick Robert Wrak z Tuscaloosa w Alabamie był jednym z najmłodszych dowódców bombowców B-17 w 414 Składronie 97 Grupy Bombowej. Miał zaledwie 22 lata, ale już za sobą 16 misji nad terytorium III Rzeszy, wystarczająco dużo, żeby wiedzieć, że każdy lot może być ostatnim, ale nie na tyle, żeby stracić młodzieńczą pewność siebie. Wrak pochodził z rodziny, która od pokoleń służyła w amerykańskiej armii. Jego dziadek walczył w wojnie secesyjnej, ojciec w I wojnie światowej, a teraz on sam kontynuował rodzinną tradycję w najbardziej niebezpiecznej służbie w historii, jako pilot bombowca strategicznego nad Europe. Wragowie nie uciekają z pola bitwy, mawiał jego ojciec. Kończymy to, co zaczynamy. Jego bombowiec B-17 All American był maszyną o szczególnej historii. Wyprodukowany w fabrykach Boeing w Seattle, dotarł do Anglii jesienią 1943 roku jako jeden z najnowocześniejszych samolotów w amerykańskim arsenale. Jego załoga składała się z 10 ludzi: pilota, drugiego pilota, nawigatora, bombardiera, inżyniera pokładowego, radiooperatora, strzelca pokładowego i 3 strzelców obronnych. All American miał na swoim koncie już 11 udanych misji. Załoga Wraka słynęła z precyzji bombardowań i umiejętności wychodzenia z najgorszych opałów. Sierżant Tommy Martinez, strzelec pokładowy, mawiał: ten samolot ma anioła stróża, zawsze nas przyprowadza do domu. Ale 23 stycznia 1944 roku anioł stróż miał zostać poddany najtrudniejszemu testowi. Misja tego dnia była częścią Operation Argument, Massive Campaign przeciwko niemieckiej produkcji lotniczej. Cel stanowiły zakłady Focke-Wulf w Oschersleben, gdzie produkowano myśliwce FW-190. To była jedna z najważniejszych fabryk Luftwaffe, ale także jedna z najlepiej bronionych. Spodziewajcie się ciężkiej obrony przeciwlotniczej i mocnego oporu myśliwców, ostrzegał podczas briefingu major Collins, dowódca grupy. Niemcy będą bronić tych zakładów za wszelką cenę. Wrak skinął głową, sprawdzając mapy i plany lotu. To miała być jego 17. misja. Pozostało mu jeszcze 8 do ukończenia wymaganej 50. Start z bazy w Amendola we Włoszech odbył się o świcie. 24 B-17 z 97 grupy bombowej wzleciało w doskonałej formacji, skierowując się na północ, w kierunku Alp. Pogoda była idealna. Czyste niebo, dobra widzialność, słaby wiatr. Idealne warunki dla bombardowania, ale także dla niemieckiej obrony. Nawigator do pilot. Zabrzmiał głos porucznika Johna Mahoneya przez interkom. Kurs 015, wysokość 25,00 stóp, czas do celu. 2 godziny 15 minut. Wrak skorygował kurs, obserwując formację bombowców rozciągającą się przed nim. W słońcu aluminiowe kadłuby B-17 błyszczały jak srebrne ryby pływające przez ocean błękitnego nieba. Pierwsze oznaki oporu napotkali nad Alpami. Niemieckie stacje radarowe wykryły formację, a radio wypełniały niemieckie rozkazy dla myśliwców perechwatujących. "Bandits at 2 o'clock high!" krzyknął sierżant Williams, strzelec górnej wieżyczki. Daleko na horyzoncie pojawiły się małe punkciki. Messerschmitt Bf-109 z JG-11. Ale niemieckie myśliwce nie atakowały jeszcze. Czekały na odpowiedni moment, gdy bombowce będą najbardziej narażone, podczas lotu nad celem. "Zbierają siły", stwierdził Wrak, obserwując przez lornetkę Messerschmitty flying paralel do ich formacji. "Będą atakować nad Oschersleben". Gdy formacja amerykańskich bombowców zbliżała się do celu, niemiecka obrona przeciwlotnicza otworzyła ogień. Niebo wypełniło się czarnymi puf z dymu od eksplodujących pocisków flak. "Flak heavy and accurate", raportował Mahoney. Pierwsze pociski przeciwlotnicze eksplodowały tak blisko All American, że samolot zatrzęsł się od podmuchów. "Bomb bay doors open", komendował bombardier sierżant Roberts. "Za 10 minut mieli być nad celem i wtedy rozpocznie się prawdziwe piekło". Wrak wcisnął między telefon. "Załoga, przygotujcie się do ataku myśliwców natychmiast po bombardowaniu. Niemcy będą na nas czekać". Nie miał pojęcia, jak bardzo się mylił. Niemcy nie czekali po bombardowaniu. Czekali na coś znacznie gorszego. O godzinie 11:47, gdy formacja bombowców zbliżała się do Oschersleben, niemieckie myśliwce rozpoczęły koordynowany atak, jakiego Wrak nigdy wcześniej nie widział. Z 3 różnych kierunków nadleciały grupy Messerschmitt Bf-109 i Focke-Wulf FW-190, łącznie około 40 maszyn, pilotowanych przez doświadczonych asów Luftwaffe. "Bandits everywhere!" krzyczał do interkomu sierżant Martinez. 12 o'clock high, 3 o'clock level, 9 o'clock low". Niebo wokół All American zapełniło się niemieckimi myśliwcami, które atakowały z precyzją chirurgiczną. To nie był chaotyczny dogfight, to był zaplanowany methodical massacre. Pierwsze pociski trafiły bombowiec w prawe skrzydło. Bf-109, pilotowany przez Hauptmann Heinza Knockego, przeleciał tuż nad All American. Jego karabiny maszynowe MG-17, wypuszczające deadly strumień amunicji 7,92 mm, trafieni w prawy silnik numer 3, raportował sierżant Peterson, inżynier pokładowy, ale to był dopiero początek. Kolejny Messerschmitt zaatakował od przodu. Jego kanon MK-108 kalibru 30 mm, wyburzając dziury wielkości piłki futbolowej w nosie bombowca. Fragmenty aluminium i pleksi latały przez kabinę pilotów, a porucznik Mahoney został lekko ranny przez odłamki. "Jesus Christ!" krzyknął drugi pilot, porucznik Sam Johnson, obserwując, jak niemiecki myśliwiec wykonuje beczkę nad ich samolotem, tak blisko, że widać było twarz pilota. "They're trying to ram us." To nie było przypadek. Niektórzy niemieckie piloci rzeczywiście próbowali zniszczyć B-17 przez collision, preferując pewną śmierć obu załóg niż pozwolenie bombowcowi na escape. Sierżant Roberts w nose gunner position otworzył ogień z swojego karabinu. 50 cal, trafiając FW-190, który zaatakował z front. Niemiecki myśliwiec zadymił i rozpoczął spiral w dół, ale instantly był zastąpiony przez kolejnego. "Mam amunicjon dla może 10 minut", krzyczał Roberts. "Oni nadlatują jak pszczoły". W tym momencie stało się coś, co przesądziło o tragicznym losie All American. Hauptmann Ernst Pitch z JG-11, pilotując FW-190, wykonał atak head-on z distance około 200 metrów. Jego 4 karabiny maszynowe MG-151-20 i 2 MG-17 opened fire simultaneously, wypuszczając ścianę amunicji directly w cockpit B-17. Wrak poczuł, jak setki pocisków trafiają w samolot jednocześnie. Metal kadłuba był literally shredded. Kontrole flight przerwane, instruments na dashboard destroyed. "Wszyscy trafieni", krzyczał przez interkom, ale system komunikacji był już partially damaged. Połowa jego załogi nie mogła go słyszeć. Lewy wing All American był dziurawy jak sito. Structural spars były przerwane w kilku miejscach. Fuel tanks były punctured i leaking aviation gasoline, a aileron control cables zostały completely severed. "Ten samolot nie powinien latać", myślał Brak, desperate, próbując utrzymać kontrolę nad maszyną, która responował to jego radar i elevator inputs jak drunk elephant. Ale najgorsze było dopiero przed nimi. Peach, zobaczywszy damage, który wywołał, wykonał sharp turn i nadleciał dla finishing attack. Tym razem jego target był center section kadłuba, miejsce, gdzie wings were attached do fuselage. Jeden direct hit w tym miejscu oznaczałby instant break-up samolotu w powietrzu. All American był już tak damaged, że latał only dzięki momentum i desperate efforts Braga przy controls. Prawego outer wing miał dziury wielkości człowieka. Left elevator był hanging tylko na jednym cable, a radar była perforated jak cheese. Airspeed indicator pokazywał falling speed. Altitude gauge był cracked, ale samolot somehow wciąż był airborne. We're going down, krzyczał Johnson, próbując help Brak z controls. Ten samolot się rozpada. Rzeczywiście, structural integrity All American była critically compromised. Wings były flexing w sposób, który normally oznaczałby immediate catastrophic failure, ale Brak nie poddawał się. Not yet, she isn't, krzyknął, applying full power do remaining engines. This bird wants do domu, am I going do domu? Były to słowa, które miały become legendary among Crews 97. Bomb Group. W tym momencie Peach rozpoczął swój final attack run. Lecąc directly from behind, miał perfect shot na center fuselage. Jego finger był already na trigger, Gdy Hauptmann Peach wykonał swój ostateczny atak na All American, stało się coś, czego nikt nie mógł przewidzieć. Z prawej strony, z słońca, nadleciały amerykańskie myśliwce P-51 Mustang z 332. Fighter Group, słynni Tuskegee Airmen, afroamerykańscy piloci, którzy zostali wysłani jako eskort dla formacji bombowców. Red tails coming in, krzyczał sierżant Williams, obserwując czerwone końcówki skrzydeł charakterystyk dla Tuskegee jednostki. Lieutenant Colonel Benjamin Davis Jr., commanding officer 332 grupy, prowadził 12 Mustangów w diving attack na niemieckie myśliwce otaczające All American. Peach, zobaczywszy nadlatujące Mustangi, był forced do break off his attack i engage w dogfight. Jego FW-190 wykonał sharp right turn, ale P-51 commanded przez Captain Roscoe Brown był already na jego tail. Brown's 50 caliber machine guns opened fire, trafiając niemieckiego myśliwca w engine. Mayday! Mayday! Transmission na niemieckiej frekwencji była cut short, gdy FW-190 exploded w ball of fire. Pozostałe niemieckie fighters, suddenly outnumbered i surprised, rozpoczęły withdrawal. W ciągu 3 minut fierce dogfight było finished i All American był relatywnie safe. Thank you, Red Tails. Bragg transmitted na emergency frequency. You saved our asses. Davis's response był professional i calm. Roger that, All American. Can you maintain altitude? Bragg sprawdził swoje instruments. Te few, które were still functioning. Reality był terrifying. All American had sustained damage, które normally would result w immediate crash. Structural analysis, gdyby była możliwa w takich warunkach, would show, że samolot lost approximately 40% swojej structural integrity. Wings były held together głównie przez skin panels i upper spar caps. Lower spars były completely severed. We're flying on prayers and aluminum scraps, stwierdził Johnson, looking przez shattered cockpit window na wing, który był flexing w unnatural way. Każdy time we hit turbulence. Myślę, że wing will separate completely. Rzeczywiście, left wing was bending w sposób, który defied engineering calculations. Bragg zrealizował, że traditional flight procedures would not work w tej sytuacji. All American required completely different approach. Gentle turns, minimal power changes, absolute avoidance jakichkolwiek maneuvers, które might stress już weakened structure. We're going do domu W straight line. Decided. Najkrótszą możliwą drogą. Navigator Mahoney, pomimo wounds z glass fragments, calculated new course do najbliższej Allied airfield. Base w Foggia, approximately 180 miles na south. If we maintain current speed, I don't encounter storms. Możemy make it w około hour i pół. Reported. But sir, hesitated. Any significant turbulence will probably break us apart. Bragg keyed his radio due contact base operations. Amendola Tower to all American Heavy, declaring emergency, requesting priority landing clearance Foggia. Response was immediate. All American, this just Amendola Tower. State nature emergency. Bragg looked around in the devastated interior of his bomber. Tower, we have sustained heavy battle damage. Structural integrity just compromised. We need immediate medical on landing. Cobragny mentioned by what true extent of damage. Beyond destroyed controls, I punctured fuel tanks. All American had sustained hits które affected każdy major system. Hydraulics were leaking. Electrical systems were sparking. High oxygen system był partially severed, forcing crew to use walk-around bottles. Najbardziej critical był condition of wings. Engineering analysis would later show że wings were hanging onto fuselage przez less than 30% of original connections. Center section spar caps były cracked. Wing attachments were loose. A cowish structure was held together, mainly through skin panels które were never designed to carry primary loads. Sir, we're losing fuel fast, reported Peterson Z Engineer Station. Proego wing tanks are completely punctured. I can see gasoline streaming behind us Jack Waterfall. Bragg checked fuel gauges. Those were still working. They had fuel till maybe another hour of flight. Enough to reach Foggia, jeśli nothing else went wrong. But co-constituted wrong, w przypadku All-American. Samolot was already flying W condition, który should have been impossible. Every minute W air was minor miracle of physics, I human determination. All-American was essentially flying skeleton, framework of aluminum, I steel held together pris hope I Bragg's piloting skills. Załoga, listen up, Bragg announced through intercom. We're going do domu. This bird just too stubborn to die. Am I too stubborn to let her? Przygotujcie się dla rough landing w Foggia. I need wszyscy do shift wait aft when I give command. Pomóc keep nose up during approach. Ahead of them była long flight over hostile territory of machine która defied physics. Behind them była trail of aviation gasoline I smoke. But All-American was still flying. I jej crew was still fighting. Lot z Oschersleben do Foggia w normalnych warunkach trwałby około 2 godzin. Ale All-American nie latał w normalnych warunkach. Każda minuta była walką z prawami fizyki, a Bragg musiał nauczyć się pilotować maszyną, która zachowywała się jak żadna inna w historii lotnictwa. Wing flexing jest getting worse, raportował Johnson, obserwując lewą half skrzydła, które literally bent up i down przy każdym gentle air current. I can see daylight przez wing root. Główny spar jest completely severed. Rzeczywiście structural damage był tak extensive, że wing było attached do fuselage only przez skin panels i fragmenty upper spar. Najgroźniejszy był problem z fuel consumption. Punctured tanks w right wing were hemorrhaging aviation gasoline w alarming rate. We're losing około 50 gallons na minutę, raportował Peterson. At this rate będziemy mieć fuel dla maybe another 40 minut. Bragg wykonał szybkie obliczenia. Foggia była still około hour away. Can we transfer fuel z punctured tanks? Zapytał Bragg. Peterson sprawdził fuel transfer systems. Partial transfer możliwy, ale pompy are damaged. Mogę manually transfer około 100 gallons, ale to will take time. Do it, ordered Bragg. Every gallon counts. W tym momencie All-American wszedł w patch of moderate turbulence. Rezultat był terrifying. Whole aircraft shuddered jak w earthquake. Wings flexed drastically. I przez moment Bragg thought the left wing would completely separate. Hold together, baby. He whispered to his aircraft. Just hold together a little bit longer. Radio crackled with transmissions to Tuskegee airmen, La Uchange escorting damaged bomber. All-American to Red Leader. Voice of Benjamin Davis. Your left wing appears due by losing pieces. We can see debris falling the aircraft. Bragg looked out przez cracked cockpit window. Rzeczywiście. Small aluminum fragments were being torn off przez wind. Red Leader acknowledged, responded Bragg. We're aware of structural deterioration. Can you maintain escort to Foggia? Davis's response was immediate. Roger that. We'll stay ZU until wheels touch ground. The assurance było enormous morale boost dla załogi All-American. Knowing że experienced fighters were watching over them made enormous psychologiczną różnicę. Siergeant Martinez w waist gun position reported new problem. Sir, I can see through wing to ground below. Right wing structural ribs są visibles inside aircraft. Skin panels are completely gone w niektórych miejscach. All-American was literally flying as skeleton. Framework of spars, eye ribs without covering. 30 minutes into return flight, Peterson managed to manually transfer additional 100-gallon Z-damaged tanks. Sir, to gives us maybe additional 20 minutes flying time, reported. But hydraulic pressure just falling fast. Landing gear extension will might to be manual. Bragg nodded grimly. Manual gear extension W damaged aircraft, było risky procedure. Navigator Mahoney, working's blood-stained maps I damaged instruments, provided updated position report. Sir, we're currently over friendly territory. Foggia bearing 185 degrees, distance approximately 80 miles. Weather at destination just clear, wind light. At least weather bill cooperating. But at 45 minutes into flight, new crisis developed. Right engine number 3, który had been running roughly since initial attack, began losing power dramatically. Engine 3 failing, shouted Peterson. Oil pressure dropping, temperature rising. Bragg looked at engine instruments. Number 3 was clearly dying. With just compromised structural integrity, falling fuel, loss of another engine could be catastrophic. Can we feather number 3? Asked Bragg. Propeller feathering system just damaged. I can try mechanical override, responded Peterson. After several minutes of struggle, propeller was successfully feathered, reducing drag. All-American was now flying only 3 engines. The structural damage Koji would normally ground aircraft immediately, przez punctured fuel tanks. Eyes partly functioning control systems. This just impossible, muttered Johnson. 10 Samolot shouldn't be capable of flight. Maybe not, replied Bragg, gently adjusting power in the remaining engines. But she's flying anyway, sometimes impossible, just starting point. His calm confidence was infectious throughout crew. Jeśli pilot believed they would make it, maybe they actually would. 10 minutes later, they received wonderful news. All-American to Foggia Tower. We have you na radar, bearing 010 degrees, distance 25 miles. Runway 23 just cleared the emergency landing. Crash crews are standing by. Almost home, but approach landing W fatally damaged aircraft would present challenges Nikto hadn't faced before. How do you land aircraft Z structurally compromised wings? How much stress can damaged airframe withstand during touchdown? These were questions Koja would soon have answers. Gdy All-American rozpoczął approach do Foggia airfield, Bragg zdał sobie sprawę, że traditional landing procedures would be suicidal. Aircraft's extensive structural damage required completely new approach, something Nikto never attempted before W aviation history. Tower All-American requesting straight-in approach, minimum maneuvering, transmitted Bragg. We cannot Y-Konich standard traffic pattern. Wings may separate during turns. Foggia Tower controller, Captain Mario Rossi, immediately understood gravity situacji. All-American cleared straight approach runway 23. All traffic holding clear. Emergency crews positioned. Problem bow complex. Normal landing required reducing speed, lowering flaps, extending gear, adjusting power. Wszystkie procedures, które would stress już compromise structure. Bragg must somehow land aircraft bez breaking it apart during approach sequence. Załoga. Prepared la unusual landing procedure, announced Bragg through intercom. We'll maintain higher speed than normal, minimal flap extension, very gentle touchdown. When I give signal, wszyscy move aft, do help maintain nose-up attitude. Crew acknowledged, understanding that their survival depended on a precise coordination. Peterson began manual gear extension process, laborious procedure requiring physical strength, mechanical knowledge. Gear extending manually, reported. Left main down locked, right main down locked, nose gear. Stuck. Nose gear was jammed W partially extended position, creating enormous aerodynamic drag, making landing even more challenging. Can you free nose gear? Asked Bragg. I'll try mechanical release. AL hydraulic lines are severed. Peterson struggled Z gear controls. After 15 minutes of effort, Nose gear free, extending, locked. One critical system was functioning. During gear extension, wind stress and damaged wings created new crisis. Sir, left wing just bending beyond safe limits, krzyczał Martinez. I can see internal structure flexing Jack Tree W storm. Indeed, wing was oscillating W dangerous pattern, threatening catastrophic failure. Bragg reduced power further, despite knowing just slower speed made aircraft harder to control. We need minimum stress in the wings, explained Du Johnson. Jeśli we lose wing during approach, agree over. Aircraft was now flying so slowly, the stall warning system was intermittently activating. 5 miles from runway, new challenge emerged. Fuel quantity was critically low. Peterson estimated less than 10 minutes remaining. Sir, jeśli we miss first approach, there's nigh enough fuel to second attempt. Pressure was enormous. One chance to land, you aircraft shouldn't be flying. As minimal fuel, extensive damage. All American, wind calm, visibility unlimited, runway clear, reported tower. Crash crews ready, medical standing by. Bragg could see foam trucks, ambulances positioned along runway, sobering reminder of what could go wrong during landing. At 3 miles, Bragg began final approach sequence. Flaps to 15 degrees only, commanded. Full flaps would create too much stress in a damaged structure. Aircraft settled into shallow glide slope, much faster than normal approach speed. Power steady on remaining engines. 2 miles out. All American, you appear to be trailing significant amounts of fuel vapor, observed tower. Be advised, any spark during landing could cause fire. Bragg acknowledged grimly. Fuel vapor punctured tanks created serious fire hazard, especially during touchdown when brakes tires could generate sparks. 1 mile final. Wings were now visibly flexing W ground observers. Sir, structural failure seems imminent, reported Johnson. Bragg could feel aircraft fighting his controls. Damaged structure was reaching absolute limits. Hold together just a little bit, Winsey, whispered to his aircraft. At half mile, most critical moment, Bragg must reduce power to landing without stalling aircraft, despite your wings were on verge of structural failure. Power back slowly, flare gently. Aircraft responded sluggishly, fighting every control input. All American, looking good in approach, encouraged tower. Though everyone could see aircraft was W distress. Trailing fuel vapor, damaged wings flexing, flying faster than normal. To be a sight Nikto hoped never to see again. Touchdown imminent, called Johnson. Bragg pulled back gently in the elevator controls, feeling aircraft settle toward runway. Main wheels contacted pavement tremendous force due to higher than normal approach speed. Hold it. Hold it! Aircraft bounced once, twice, then settled firmly in all 3 wheels. Brakes gently. Bragg applied wheel brakes carefully, knowing hard braking could cause structural collapse. Aircraft decelerated slowly but steadily, finally rolling to complete stop approximately halfway down runway. Tower, all American stopped safely in a runway, transmitted Bragg. Exhaustion clear was voice. Request immediate assistance to the damaged aircraft, injured crew. Response was immediate. Emergency vehicles rolling now. Engines were shut down. Ideal first time W 3 hours. All American was silent. Through cockpit windows, crew could see dozens of people running toward aircraft. Medics, firefighters, mechanics. Curious observers drawn to sight of most damaged aircraft anyone had ever seen land successfully. We made it, whispered Johnson, staring at destroyed cockpit around them. How the hell did we make it? Gdy zespoły ratunkowe dotarły do All American, to co zobaczyli przeszło wszelkie oczekiwania. Bombowiec, który właśnie bezpiecznie wylądował na pasie startowym w Fodzie, wyglądał jak szkielet samolotu owinięty w strzępy aluminium i płótna. Chief Master Sergeant Anthony DeLuca, doświadczony mechanik z 20-letnią służbą, stanął oniemiały przed maszyną. Santo Dio! Wykrzyknął po włosku, a potem przełączył się na angielski. How is this thing even in one piece? DeLuca był odpowiedzialny za maintenance wszystkich B-17 na bazie Fodzia, ale nigdy nie widział czegoś takiego. All American był żywym dowodem na to, że czasami prawa fizyki ustępują miejsca ludzkiej determinacji. Załoga opuszczała samolot jeden po drugim przez main cargo door. Jedyne exit, które było jeszcze w miarę intakt. Wrak był ostatni, zgodnie z tradycją pilotów, sprawdzając, czy wszyscy jego ludzie są bezpieczni. Ten samolot uratował nam życie, powiedział do DeLuca. Nie zasługuje na złomowanie. Zasługuje na medal. Medical team pod dowództwem kapitän dr Sarah Mitchell natychmiast zabrał się do opatrzenia rannych. Porucznik Mahoney miał rany głowy od fragmentów szkła. Sierżant Roberts został trafiony odłamkiem w ramię, a większość załogi cierpiała na szok i minor injuries. Considering what they went through, these men are remarkably intact, raportował dr Mitchell. Ale prawdziwe odkrycia czekały mechaniów, którzy rozpoczęli Detailed Inspection All-American. To, co znaleźli, stało się legendą w engineering circles. Aircraft miał 274 documented bullet holes, ranging od small caliber machine gun rounds do large cannon shells. Right wing miał dziurę wielkości małego samochodu, a left wing było literally hanging tylko na skin panels. Wing spars są completely severed w 3 miejscach, raportował DeLuca do Base Commander Colonel Roberts. Main fuel tanks są riddled jak colanders. Control systems są 70% destroyed. Hydraulics są gone. Electrical systems są mostly shot out. Theoretically, ten samolot shouldn't be able to do taxi, let alone fly dla 3 hours I land safely. Najbardziej incredible było structural analysis. Engineers z Wright-Patterson Air Force Base przybyli na następny dzień do examine aircraft. Lead engineer, Dr. James Whitman, spent całe 2 dni analyzing damage. His conclusions were staggering. This aircraft survived stresses, które are 300% beyond designed limits. It's essentially miracle of metallurgy I engineering. Colonel Roberts postanowił szczegółowo zdokumentować całe zdarzenie dla historical purposes i future engineering studies. This aircraft IJ crew accomplished something, że będzie studied na next 50 years, stwierdził. Photography teams spent całe 2 tygodnie dokumentując każdy call damage, każdą repair, że crew improvised podczas flight, każdy system, że somehow continued functioning. Wrak i jego załoga byli heroes lokalnie, ale historia All-American szybko rozprzestrzeniła się throughout całego Allied Command. General Carl Spaatz, commanding officer of U.S. Strategic Air Forces, osobiście przyleciał do Foggia, żeby mieć załogę i inspect aircraft. This represents finest example of aircrew determination i aircraft engineering that I've seen podczas entire war, declared Spaatz. Medal ceremony była held week later. Bragg received Distinguished Flying Cross, Johnson i Mahoney otrzymali Air Medals, a pozostała załoga była awarded Bronze Stars. Ale dla Bragg najbardziej significant było recognition of jego aircraft. All-American była officially designated jako historic aircraft, pierwszego bombowca w USAF history to receive such honor while jeszcze w service. Engineering Studies All-American stały się foundation dla major improvements w future aircraft design. Boeing engineers byli particularly interested why certain structural elements survived while others failed. This accident taught us more about stress distribution W heavy aircraft niż wszystkie our laboratory tests combined, admitted Boeing Chief Engineer Donald Whitmore. Dr. Whitman's final report stał się classified document dla następnych 20 lat. Elegiego conclusions were revolutionary. All-American proved że aircraft could survive battle damage far beyond anything previously thought possible, jeśli fundamental structural elements remained intact. This led directly to redesigned wing attachment points to future bombers. Ale co było most remarkable, nie było engineering aspect, było human element. 10 men who catastrophically damaged aircraft chose to fight dla survival rather than bail out over Germany. Statistics showed that crews bailing out over hostile territory had less than 50% chance of survival, explained military historian Dr. Robert Patterson. These men chose to stays their aircraft I fight de la home. Maintenance crews W Foggia zorganizowali special project to restore All-American to flying condition. Nie dla combat, ale jako testament do crew i aircraft engineering. Restoration took 4 months. I involved craftsmen Z throughout Allied forces. We wanted to show the courage I engineering excellence deserved proper tribute, explained DeLuca. Major media attention followed story All-American. Life magazine ran 6-page feature Z photographs of damaged aircraft. I interviews Z crew. BBC Radio broadcast special program about incident throughout Europe. Story inspired millions of people fighting war. Proof że determination could overcome seemingly impossible odds. Bragg został promoted do captain i offered assignment jako instructor pilot w United States, teaching future bomber crews about survival techniques i emergency procedures. Every pilot needs do knows to impossible often just starting point, explained Bragg podczas jego farewell speech w Fodze. All American była eventually repaired. I returned to combat duty alias special designation. She was assigned due training missions, teaching new crews about aircraft systems, emergency procedures. This aircraft became flying classroom, noted Colonel Roberts. Her experience used surviving impossible by invaluable dla training new air crews. Story of All American became part of official USAAF training curriculum. Every new pilot learned about aircraft refused to die. I crew quietu refused to quit. It represented everything что American air crews stood for during World War II. Courage, determination. I believe że home był worth any sacrifice. W tygodniach następujących po lądowaniu All American w Fodze, historia tego niezwykłego lotu dotarła do najwyższych szczebli Allied Command. Winston Churchill osobiście zażądał raportu o bomberze, który odmówił śmierci. A prezydent Roosevelt wspomniał o incydencie podczas swojego weekly radio address do American People. Ten samolot i jego załoga reprezentują ducha, dzięki któremu wygramy tę wojnę, powiedział Roosevelt w swoim przemówieniu. Gdy wszyscy mówili niemożliwe, oni odpowiedzieli: obserwujcie nas. Słowa prezydenta zostały nadane przez BBC i transmitted do resistance groups w całej Occupied Europe, stając się symbolem nadziei. Technical analysis All American revealed details changed future aircraft design. Boeing engineers odkryli, że aircraft survival było result of specific sequence of events. Multiple small caliber hits distributed stress across large area, rather than single catastrophic damage concentrated w jednym miejscu. This distribution pattern allowed structure to bend rather than break, explained Dr. Whitman W. Jego final report. Najbardziej surprising discovery był, że aircraft actually became more stable during flight to domu. As fuel burned off Z-punctured tanks, aircraft became lighter, requiring less stress, not damaged wings to maintain flight. By time they reached Fodze, aircraft weight była probably 8 pounds less than at początek mission, calculated Peterson podczas jego debriefing. 6 weeks po incident, repaired All American była ready dla jej first post-damage test flight. Bragg osobiście requested to pilot ten historic flight. This aircraft saved my life, I życie mego crew, argued Bragg. I should be pierwszy to see if our repairs were successful. Colonel Roberts initially refused, fearing emotional attachment might cloud judgment. Ale eventually relented. Test flight była scheduled dla 10 marca 1944 z full engineering instrumentation do monitor structural stress during wszystkie flight phases. Bragg, accompanied przez DeLuca jako flight engineer i Dr. Whitman jako observer, took All American up dla 2-hour test program including wse standard maneuvers plus specific tests of repaired structural elements. She flies like new airplane, enthusiastically reported Bragg przez radio podczas test. All systems functioning perfectly. Structure shows no stress beyond normal parameters. Success test flight była celebration dla entire Fodze base. Aircraft że everyone thought była destroyed został completely restored to operational status. Dr. Whitman's post-flight report was enthusiastic. Repairs wykonane przez base maintenance crew are exemplary. This aircraft just fully capable of returning to combat operations. But Colonel Roberts had different plans dla All American. Rather than risk losing such historic aircraft combat, on decided to assign Jedge do special role. All American became traveling testament to American aircrew courage. She visited bases throughout Italy, England and North Africa, gdzie jej crew told their story to thousands of new aircrews. Educational value TJ aircraft her crew just immeasurable, reported Colonel Roberts to 8th Air Force headquarters. At Kajdi base they visited, Response by was same. Astonishment, inspiration, I renewed determination. Seeing actual bullet holes, I hearing first-hand account OD crew gave new meaning do phrase never give up, reported Captain Williams, training officer at Base W, England. Our new crew's confidence increased dramatically possibly all-American visit. Bragg e Jago crew such became celebrities throughout Allied forces. Magazines requested interviews. War correspondents wanted their story. Idaja Hollywood producers inquired about film rights. We never expected all this attention, admitted Bragg. We just did what any crew would do. Popatalis get home. But publicity had serious purpose. Military psychologists noticed stories of extraordinary survival, значительно improved morale among aircrew facing dangerous missions. All-American story became part of official morale-building program. Distributed W письменной form do всички combat units. Engineering lessons from All-American were incorporate W design improvements de la all U.S. bombers. Structural reinforcements, improved fuel tank protection, enhanced emergency procedures. Всички trace their origins to analysis of show happened of damaged aircraft. This single incident advanced aircraft survivability engineering for several years, noted Boeing's chief engineer. 6 months past the original incident. All-American had visited over 40 military installations. Her crew had spoken to more than 100,000 servicemen. Their message, Billa, always same. Aircraft are just machines. No human spirit can overcome any obstacle. When situation seems hopeless, that's когда you fight hardest. In November 1944, All-American was permanently grounded. He sent to United States as part of war bond promotion tour. Aircraft I crew appeared at rallies W major cities, raising millions of dollars the war effort. Nothing sells war bonds like story of ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things, observed Treasury Secretary Morgenthau. Final stop na war bond tour była Detroit, gdzie Boeing workers Koji had built All-American, could see to their craftsmanship had accomplished. To see aircrafty crew, they had created standings des, alive and whole, pisle such ordeal, was extremely emotional moment, reported plant manager Harold Davidson. Workers realized their contribution was literally saving lives. Possibly war. All-American, bill preserved at Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum, gdzie she stands today as monument to air crew courage I engineering excellence. Placard next to aircraft tells you a story W simple words. When everyone said impossible, they said watch us. Bragg returned to Alabama pisle war, gdzie he worked as commercial pilot do retirement. He often visited schools, telling children about day when he learned что impossible was just word people use когда they don't попытаться hard enough. All-American taught me that if you refuse to give up, sometimes universe changes its mind about what's possible. Today, story of All-American is required reading U.S. Air Force training programs. Every pilot learns about aircraft show refuse to die, I crew show refuse to quit. It represents everything что military aviation stands for. Courage, determination, belief, show no mission is hopeless if people refuse to accept defeat. All-American proved the world что sometimes ordinary people, ordinary machines can accomplish extraordinary things. Sometimes all it takes is refusing to believe w impossible. 2 lata po zakończeniu wojny, w październiku 1948 roku, miało miejsce wydarzenie, które nadało historii All-American jeszcze głębsze znaczenie. Podczas konferencji Society of Automotive Engineers w Detroit, dr James Whitman przedstawił kompletny technical analysis tego, co stało się w powietrzu nad Niemcami w styczniu 1944. Gentlemen, to, co Państwu dzisiaj przedstawię, redefiniuje nasze rozumienie structural engineering w aerospace applications. Rozpoczął Whitman swoją prezentację. Sala była wypełniona najlepszymi inżynierami lotniczymi w Ameryce, włączając w to zespoły projektowe z Boeing, Lockheed i Douglas Aircraft. Detailed stress analysis revealed, że All-American survived forces, które według wszystkich existing engineering principles should have resulted with immediate catastrophic failure. Wing loading podczas return flight exceeded design specifications by 3 or 40%, explained Whitman. Control surface damage was 85% complete. Structural integrity was reduced to less than 30% of original strength. Ale most remarkable discovery była, że aircraft actually became progressively more stable as flight continued. As fuel leaked z punctured tanks, aircraft weight distribution shifted w sposób, który reduced stress na damaged structural elements. Whitman pokazał charts i graphs demonstrując how accidental fuel loss had created bardziej favorable center of gravity. Essentially, aircraft was healing itself podczas flight, kontynuował Whitman. Random pattern of battle damage, combined z fuel loss, created configuration, która była actually more stable than original design pod specific circumstances, które encountered. This phenomenon became known w engineering circles as beneficial failure mode. Boeing chief engineer Donald Whitmore był particularly interested w implications dla future aircraft design. Jeśli możemy understand principles behind co stało się do all-American, we can design aircraft, które automatically adapt to battle damage, suggested Whitmore. This concept eventually led to development of adaptive flight control systems, modern military aircraft. Same month. Bragg otrzymał special invitation do Naval Test Pilot School w Patuxent River, Maryland. Military wanted experienced combat pilot to help develop new emergency procedures based on lessons learned the All-American incident. Your experience flying critically damaged aircraft just invaluable for training future test pilots, explained Commander Robert Taylor. At Test Pilot School, Bragg worked with engineers to recreate conditions similar to those experienced podczas his famous flight. Using flight simulators, I specially modified aircraft. They developed new techniques to flying severely damaged bombers. Co-learned podczas that flight over Germany saved my life, wyjaśnił Bragg. Teraz want to make sure every pilot zna te techniques. Najbardziej significant development była creation of all-American protocols, standardized procedures dla aircraft experiencing catastrophic structural damage. These protocols became mandatory training dla wszystkich military pilots i zostały później adopted przez civilian aviation authorities worldwide. Dr. Whitman's research also led to revolutionary changes in aircraft design philosophy. Instead of trying to make aircraft that never failed, engineers began designing systems które could continue functioning mimo significant damage. All-American taught us that resilience just more important than invulnerability, noted Whitman w his final report. 1948, Boeing unveiled B-50 Super Fortress, który incorporated dozens of design improvements directly attributed to analysis of all-American damage patterns, strengthened wing attachment points, redundant control systems. I improved fuel tank protection. Wszystkie traced their origins to lessons learned z damaged B-17. But perhaps most significant legacy była psychological. Story of All-American became standard reading w wszystkich military pilot training programs. This aircraft I her crew proved that human determination can overcome seemingly impossible odds, stated General Curtis LeMay, podczas speech at Air Force Academy. Every pilot needs to know that giving up just never an option. Bragg eventually left active duty. Ale continued working jako civilian test pilot dla Boeing. His experience as extreme aircraft handling made him invaluable dla testing new designs under adverse conditions. After flying all-American home z practically no wings, normal test flying feels quite routine, żartował Bragg. W 1950 Bragg was hired jako chief instructor pilot dla New Emergency Procedures Training Program at Boeing. His job była to teach other pilots techniques dla handling aircraft w extreme situations. Most pilots will never face situation jak all-American, explained Bragg. But jeśli they do, want them to know że survival just possible. Training program developed przez Bragg became model dla emergency training worldwide. Commercial airlines began sending their most experienced pilots to Boeing facility DLA specialized training handling catastrophic emergencies. Bragg's techniques save lives, noted FAA Administrator Charles Adams. His knowledge z real-world emergency handling just unparalleled. By 1952, over 2,000 honor pilots had completed Bragg's emergency procedures course. These pilots carried knowledge gained the All-American incident to airlines, military units, I-test programs around world. Ripple effect Z, single heroic flight continues to expand, observed aviation historian Dr. Martin Henderson. Most touching tribute came in the form of letters young woman named Sarah Peterson, daughter of engineer who had manually transferred fuel during famous flight. My father talked about that day the rest of his life, pisała Sarah. He said learned about not giving up podczas crisis shaped his entire approach to life. When I faced difficulties podczas medical school, I remembered his story about refusing to quit no matter how hopeless situations seemed. Stories Jack Sarah's were common. Children grandchildren of all-American crew members often cited that day's experience, Jocko defining moment you their family's history. My grandfather never talked much about war, noted James Martinez Jr., son of waist gunner. But he always said if broken airplane could make it home through determination, then any problem was solvable with enough effort. In 1953, aviation industry recognized Bragg's contributions as prestigious Wright Brothers Memorial Trophy, highest honor American aviation. During acceptance speech, Bragg characteristically deflected credit. This award belongs to every member of all-American crew, to maintenance personnel который kept aircraft flying, and to engineers который learned from our experience. Individual heroism means nothing without team support. Legacy of All-American continues today, every aircraft design, every emergency procedure, every pilot training program. Principles discovered through analysis of damaged B-17 influence modern aviation safety systems worldwide. Single flight of badly damaged bomber revolutionized way we think about aircraft survival, concluded Dr. Whitman w his memoir published w 1955. W latach 60., gdy era odrzutowców zrewolucjonizowała lotnictwo cywilne, historia All-American zyskała nowy wymiar znaczenia. Inżynierowie projektujący pierwsze samoloty pasażerskie, jak Boeing 707 i Douglas DC-8, wykorzystywali lessons learned z Analysis Damaged B-17 do stworzenia znacznie bezpieczniejszych aircraft. Principles of Redundancy i Damage Tolerance, które odkryliśmy studying All-American, są fundamentalne dla modern airliner safety, wyjaśnił dr Joseph Sutter, Chief Engineer dla Boeing 747 program. Every system w modern airliner jest designed to continue functioning nawet przy significant component failures. Kendrick Bragg, teraz w wieku 45 lat, był senior test pilot dla Boeing i recognized expert w emergency procedures. His experience flying critically damaged aircraft made him ideal candidate dla testing new airliner emergency systems. Commercial aviation safety depends on understanding what happens when everything goes wrong, noted Bragg podczas interviews at Aviation Week magazine. 1961. Bragg był involved w critical incident, który proved value of lessons learned as All-American. During test flight of prototype Boeing 727, aircraft experienced catastrophic hydraulic failure, leaving pilot as almost no control authority. Using techniques developed his wartime experience, Bragg successfully landed damaged aircraft, saving prototype worth millions of dollars. What learned flying All-American home on prayers aluminum scraps, Bragg later explained, taught me that aircraft can survive conditions far beyond design specifications. As the pilot remains calm, I works the machine instead of against it. This incident led to further improvements of commercial aircraft emergency procedures. Boeing wykorzystał experience z both All-American i 727 emergency landing to develop comprehensive emergency training program dla all commercial pilots. Bragg's techniques dla flying damaged aircraft stały się standard dla entire aviation industry, noted Federal Aviation Administrator Najib Halabi. Meanwhile, Dr. Whitman continued his research into aircraft damage tolerance at NASA Langley Research Center. His work, originally inspired przez analysis of battle-damaged B-17, became foundation dla modern aircraft certification standards. Every airliner flying today incorporates principles które first discovered studying why All-American didn't fall apart, wyjaśnił Whitman w 1965 NASA Technical Report. Najbardziej dramatic validation of All-American principles came в 1970, gdy Japan Airlines DC-8 experienced massive structural damage during severe turbulence over Pacific Ocean. Aircraft lost significant portions of vertical stabilizer. I suffered extensive wing damage, yet managed to safely land W Tokyo using techniques directly derived z Bragg's wartime experience. Captain Yamamoto told us Vin remembered reading about American bomber pilot Katori landed damaged aircraft during World War II, reported JAL safety director. He used same philosophy, works aircraft instead of fighting it, understands the machine wants to do, he help it accomplish safe landing. C-178 passengers survived. In 1975, on the 31st anniversary of original flight, surviving members of all-American crew gathered DL a reunion at Smithsonian Museum, where their aircraft was permanently displayed. Of original 10 crew members, 7 were still alive. Looking at this aircraft, said former navigator John Mahoney, still can't believe we flew it home with that condition. Reunion bio-emotional for sea participants. We were just boys during war, noted former radio operator Williams. Didn't fully understand significance of show accomplished until years later. Indeed, historical perspective had made Yich achievement even more remarkable. Modern computer analysis showed show probability of successful flight will less than 0.1%. During reunion ceremony, Bragg was presented the new honor, induction into National Aviation Hall of Fame. This recognition belongs не только the crew of All-American, Bragg said во время acceptance speech, ale the countless engineers, mechanics и designers которые learned our experience и made aviation safer для everyone. Keynote speaker был Neil Armstrong, first man на moon, който credited All-American story jak early inspiration для his own aviation career. Reading about crew show refused to give up the impossible situation taught me show barriers exist только у our minds, Armstrong told gathered audience. Space exploration requires same kind of determination show these men showed na Germany в 1944. Dr. Whitman, теперь retired with NASA, presented comprehensive analysis of how lessons vid All-American had influenced aerospace development. From Mercury capsule to space shuttle, principles of damage tolerance and redundant systems trace their origins to study of this remarkable aircraft. Whitman explained. Single combat mission revolutionized our approach to designing vehicles show must operate at extreme conditions. Most moving moment came when the grandson of late engineer Peterson presented Bragg's his grandfather's original flight log vid mission. Grandfather wrote just 2 words about return flight, young Peterson explained. Impossible accomplished. Those words became unofficial motto de la gathering. Educational impact of All-American story continued expanding через decades. By 1975, story был taught не only в pilot training schools, ale також в business schools как example of crisis management, в engineering schools как case study of damage tolerance, и в leadership programs как demonstration of determination under pressure. All-American также influenced development of space program emergency procedures. When Apollo 13 experienced catastrophic failure en route to Moon of 1970, NASA engineers used principles derived vid aircraft damage tolerance research to develop solutions that brought crew safely home. Same philosophies to saved All-American crew, works as system instead of against it, helped save Apollo 13, noted NASA flight director Gene Kranz. 1976, Federal Aviation Administration established All-American Award, annual recognition for outstanding achievement of aviation safety. Award specifically honored individuals or organizations show demonstrated extraordinary resourcefulness of emergency situations. This award recognizes spirit to enable damaged bomber to make it home against sea odds. FAA Administrator John McLucas explained Vavrima first ceremony. By end of 1970s, story of All-American had transcended aviation community. It became part of American folklore. Children learned about it in schools. Business leaders used it как metaphor для perseverance. International aviation authorities studied it jak model dla emergency response. Simple act of refusing to give up had inspired millions of people worldwide. W 1994 roku, 50 lat po historycznym locie All-American, odbył się międzynarodowy sympozjum w Smithsonian Institute poświęcony legacy tego remarkable aircraft i jego crew. Przedstawiciele z aviation industry z całego świata gathered to discuss jak single combat mission revolutionized modern aircraft design i safety procedures. Kendrick Bragg, teper 73-letni weteran, był guest of honor na wydarzeniu. Pomimo swojego wieku, jego mind był still sharp i jego passion dla aviation remained undiminished. 50 years ago, we were just young men trying to get home, Bragg told international audience. He had no idea to our desperate struggle would influence aviation safety the next half century. Dr. James Whitman, teper 85 and partially retired, presented comprehensive overview of technological advances show trace their origins, do analysis of damaged B-17, redundant flight control systems, damage-tolerant structures, improved emergency procedures, see modern safety innovations można trace back to lessons learned Z and All-American, Whitman explained. European Aviation Safety Agency representative Claude Brunet presented data showing that commercial aviation accident rates had decreased by over 95% since 1940s, largely due to implementation of safety principles derived Z military aviation experiences like All-American mission. This single flight contributed more to aviation safety than any other incident W history, Brunet declared. Most impressive presentation came Z Boeing chief engineer Dr. Alan Mulally, который later became CEO of company. Every Boeing aircraft manufactured since 1950 incorporates design elements directly influenced by study of all-American damage patterns, Mulally explained. From 707 to upcoming 777, damage tolerance G fundamental design principle. Mulally revealed that Boeing had conducted extensive computer simulations of all-American flight using modern technology. Our analysis confirms that probability of successful landing was indeed less than 1 W1000. Mulally showed complex stress diagrams. Что these men accomplished defied not only contemporary understanding, ali also modern engineering principles. Russian aerospace engineer Dr. Dmitry Volkov shared information about how Soviet aviation industry had studied all-American incident during Cold War era. Despite political tensions, technical excellence transcends borders, Volkov explained. Soviet aircraft designers incorporated lessons learned Z American bomber because good engineering has no nationality. Most emotional moment came когда Dr. Sarah Peterson, daughter of deceased engineer Peterson, presented research showing how emergency procedures developed by J.G. Father during crisis had saved countless lives W civilian aviation. Dad's quick thinking W transferring fuel manually became standard training DLA flight engineers worldwide, Sarah explained through tears. International gathering, Takesh addressed broader implications of all-American story beyond aviation. Business schools worldwide used incident case study, W crisis management. Military academies taught it example of leadership under pressure. Engineering schools analyzed it demonstration of system resilience under extreme conditions. Harvard Business School professor Dr. Michael Porter presented analysis of how all-American demonstrated principles show later became foundation for modern risk management theory. Crew's ability to adapt procedures W real-time, work team under extreme stress, he refused to accept defeat became modeled the corporate crisis response, Porter explained. West Point Military Academy representative Colonel James Morrison pokazał how story was used to teach future officers about leadership during crisis. Bragg's calm decision-making under impossible conditions exemplifies military leadership principles we strive to instill with всех cadets, Morrison noted. MIT aerospace engineering professor, Dr. Nancy Levison discussed how all-American influenced development of fault-tolerant computer systems. Principles of graceful degradation, continuing to function despite significant component failures, were first observed W this damaged aircraft, Levison explained. Same principles now govern design of everything from aircraft autopilots to space station life support systems. During symposium dinner, surprise guest speaker Bill announced, Captain Charles Chuck Yeager, first man to break sound barrier. Bragg Ego crew showed us show barriers exist mostly of our minds, Yeager told audience. When I approached sound barrier of 1947, I thought about crew Sto refused to accept defeat in Germany. Easily damaged bomber could defy physics. Sonic barrier was just another challenge to overcome. Final session focused on future implications of all-American legacy. NASA Representative Dr. Robert Zubrin discussed how damage tolerance principles were being incorporated into Mars mission planning. When we send humans to Mars, there'll be millions of miles of help, Zubrin explained. Their spacecraft must be able to continue functioning despite significant damage, just like All-American did in Germany. Boeing announced during symposium show company was developing new generation of commercial aircraft incorporating bio-inspired healing capabilities. Structures could automatically adapt to damage using principles observed of Vrima historic flight. We're literally teaching aircraft to heal themselves, inspired by Stu All-American, accomplished through crew resourcefulness, announced Boeing researcher Dr. Lisa Chen. Symposium concluded the dedication of permanent educational exhibit at Smithsonian, featuring All-American, a comprehensive display of technological innovations traced to analysis of damage. This aircraft and her crew gave humanity roadmap to surviving impossible odds. Smithsonian director Dr. Martin Harwitt declared Vrima dedication ceremony. Young aviation enthusiasts with 20 countries participated W Symposium's final event. International student competition do design aircraft incorporating lessons learned vid All-American. Winning design. Submitted by team up a Munich Technical University, featured revolutionary self-repairing composite structures inspired by how damaged bomber continued flying despite massive structural failure. As symposium ended, Bragg was asked what he hoped people would remember about All-American's story. His answer summarized 50 years of reflection. Remember, show impossible is just word people use when they haven't tried hard enough. Aircraft didn't save us. We saved ourselves by refusing to give up. Sto lesson applies to every challenge anyone will ever face. Today, All-American remains at Smithsonian as testament to human determination and engineering excellence. Millions of visitors each year learn story of aircraft show refused to die, a crew show refused to quit. Legacy continues of every flight take off safely, every emergency handled professionally, every barrier broken by those or refused to accept limits. Story teaches timeless truth. When people refuse to give up, sometimes universe changes its mind about Sto's possible.